That's true.
Don't be hiding. Don't be hiding. Anytime you want. We're allowed to talk to people who find it. Oh, leave Bloomington, will you? I just said that for you. Okay, so, what, different video? Don't really know much. See, peanut butter listen, yes, I'll make sure. I'll drive down there and get it. Yeah, right, it was a small one, you need a bigger one, you didn't have to finance it. How'd that game last night? Kings County came for that. Did everything good. We ate nothing. They ate better leaders. Good. They did look really good. I had both my fantasy teams. How about that? For sure. Get these. I had allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Roll call, Mr. Barrett is excused, Mr. Velasco is excused, Mr. Merritt.
Here.
Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Ms. Gilbert. Also in attendance tonight is Administrator Ted Wample, Assistant City Attorney Maureen Collins, Assistant City Clerk Catherine Payne, Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo. And, sorry, I've been neglecting our two interns. Want to just stand up and say your names, gentlemen?
My name's Zach Rotary. Jake DeMarsica.
Any fine work, Ted, for the city?
Excellent work.
Good evening and welcome to all. Tonight's meeting is a regular session of City Council. Please turn off all cell phones according to the First Amendment. This meeting is a limited or designated public meeting, as all regular sessions of City Council are. The chairperson is the presiding officer of the meeting. As a City Council meeting, specific rules and procedures of council are followed. The list below are examples of important council rules. They are not intended to be a complete list. Persons addressing the council shall limit their address to 5 minutes. Next, all remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any individual member thereof. Third, no persons are allowed to address the council from beyond the rail, except the speaker at the dais or the podium or as the floor. Preservation of order, the chairperson shall preserve order and decorum, prevent attacks on personalities or the impugning of members' motives. Next is points of order. Again, the chairman shall determine all points of order. Finally, persons authorized to be within the chair rail. No person except city officers or their representatives shall be permitted within the rail in front of the council during any meeting without the express permission of council. Finally, in order to be heard by all here in attendance, as well as to be picked up by the microphones and recorders, when members of administration are speaking, please stand up and speak into a microphone, and council will speak into their microphones at the table. Does anyone from the public wish to comment on legislation pending before council tonight? I thought you might, Mr. Troy. Come on up.
Dan Troy. Concerning the consent agenda, first of all, Ted I didn't realize the supplemental agreement with Pennsylvania State to the Cole Street Extension project. I don't assume this means that the project is going to go through necessarily. It just means that the funds are going to be secured. I mean, you're trying to secure the funding to, well, I guess you want to answer that. Do you have to answer that after I speak, right?
After you've completed all your questions, yes.
I'd like to know about that, if you don't mind. I just have a general comment and somewhat specific comment on the property sale, of Scott Street to Michael Krasinski, whoever he is. And also the last item, the $12,800, that demolition, also Ted, that's coming out, the city doesn't have to pay for that, correct? I believe the $12,800 is coming out of some fund, state or whatever. If you can answer that too. Because that seemed to be a sticking point with the sale of that half a parcel on Franklin Street with that silk mill there, that the city had that eyesore, and I realized that probably would have cost more, but by the same token, if that would have been paid for, the city wouldn't have to pay out of pocket for that demolition of that silk mill, and the city could have demolished it for nothing. Correct me if I'm wrong, and perhaps sold that parcel for a lot more than $100. Where you're going to have a company move in there. And, okay, so I'm not trying to stick to the point, but maybe you can answer that in general at some point. But the sale of the third parcel lot, I in general, give me a few more seconds there, Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
But listen, I probably won't take up all that time, but on this business of the sale of the 3.06 acres, I assume that figure, again, these arbitrary figures are disturbing. Just like you had a problem, Ms. Gilbert, mentioning the fact that a lot of the business regarding the refinancing suggestion by PFM, the two propositions were, the council was kept in the dark until, until last possible, until there was a presentation formally given. Council wasn't given any indication until a formal presentation was made as to what the nature of those propositions were. And I realize that's been put on the back burner, and that's good. I'm just trying to make a parallel here, or to create a parallel point. The city, I assume council's somewhat in the dark. I'm certainly in the dark as an individual and a taxpayer, and somewhat disturbed by these various property sales. Because, and I wish Mr. George, Mayor George, were here to answer some of these questions. Maybe, again, somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but let me assume that Mr. Anstead, who's the assessor for the city, and I have a general complaint about Mr. Anstead, which I'll say till later, but he arrives arbitrarily at this figure. I mean, I realize he has a background in real estate, and he can accurately assess some of these properties, although I'm still very much in question about that $100 property down there. Very disturbed by that. Here's a vacant lot that was sold for $15,000 an acre. There's a vacant lot for half an acre was sold for $100 because it had, I realize, an eyesore on it. But again, if that could have been demolished for no cost to the city, maybe the city could have looked into that. This is disturbing because I think the public and council is left in the dark as to how these figures are arrived. And I don't know whether, and I talked to Mr. Anstead personally on the phone. He was rather curt and somewhat arrogant about giving any information regarding how he arrived at the figure of that half parcel, and I'm sure he wouldn't have been as forthcoming about this either. Correct me again if I'm wrong, but so Mr. Anstead, maybe you can help me out or somebody, came up with this figure of $45,000 on whatever basis, and Mr. Krasinski indicated his interest in this property to the mayor or to you, Ted, or to somebody on council, and the deal was made without any input, without any possible offer from any other person. Maybe this could have been put out on bid, perhaps. Maybe not. Maybe, correct me if I'm wrong here. Maybe the city could have got more than $45,000. I mean, Yeah, everybody agrees here. We've got a fiscal crisis in the making that's, I think, is going to make Scranton's and Harrisburg's pale in comparison. This city is in financial difficulty, and I'm not going to point any fingers. What's the difference? Who's to blame? Maybe the previous administration is, to a great extent, is to blame. But things like this have to be brought out to the open, and perhaps prices have to be renegotiated. And you know, a lot of these real estate deals seem to be almost jammed down council's throat. You know, and I, as a taxpayer, don't like this. Not necessarily. I mean, maybe the price is fair. I don't know. I'm not a real estate assessor. I don't know. But maybe you three, and I'm surprised the other two people aren't here, should investigate this more. And how did this Mr. Prashinsky come into the know? To, you know, that he gets the thing at $45,000, which I guess is somewhat of a bargain. I don't know. I would like to be enlightened on that. Thank you. I guess I'll stay here and see if I get an answer.
Ted, do you want to address any?
Yeah, I think, and there's a whole litany, so if I miss something, let me know. First thing on the Cole Street project, that's related to a financing reimbursement that we're getting from PennDOT on money that we expended. That's
not necessarily going to be in the works. I mean, there isn't. I mean,
Just let Mr. Wong.
it's actually something that's already in the process of being done, so we can be reimbursed, and we're very happy about that. Number two, the demolition of the property, it was bid, and we received 3 bids, and it is paid through community development funds. So I think that addresses that thing, that part. Third is the sale of the property to Prashinsky up on Scott Street. That was city parcel, was listed for sale. Mr. Ansted's a professional appraiser. He's our assessor. That property we feel was fairly assessed. It was listed for sale. They made the offer. We accepted the deal. We certainly could have decided not to and waited, but we feel if it's worth $45,000 and somebody wants to pay $45,000, I come from the school that that's a good deal. The you refer to that lot for the old Silkman, which is not an agenda item, but if you want, I can address that real quick. Go back to what we said again the last time. They sold it for $100 because that's the value of it. It was worth nothing without that building coming down. And the estimates to knock that building down are between, I think, $60,000 and $80,000. So we could have expended the funds that we do not have to knock it down, then to put it back on the market and wait for somebody to buy it, and then reimburse the money. Put it back. That's just
funding
not
for the demolition. He didn't answer. That's what I meant. Funding for the demolition of that soap mill would have to come out of the city's general fund. Sure, you're saying, but this doesn't.
This one does not.
12,800 does not.
It came out of community development, right?
That's redevelopment fund.
Community development.
Oh. All right.
Anyone else on pending legislation?
Okay. Go to the formal business, which is consent agenda ordinances, or resolutions, I'm sorry. Motion second and vote.
So moved.
Tony and Mike. Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, do you have anything to add?
Nothing new since Tuesday. Thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
I just want to commemorate the Anthrax Heritage Foundation that had an amazing turnout of a crowd in Public Square just an hour ago to dedicate a memorial to miners who have really, quite honestly, made America. And I think you know my love of local history around here. And if it wasn't for Wilkes-Barre, America would never be what it is today. And the miners, of which I'm sure this entire room has an ancestor that is a miner, that has made America, and it's really great to see King's College partner with the Anthrax Heritage Foundation to establish this memorial. It is very similar to Ellis Island. If you go to Ellis Island, you can look up their ancestor to see if they came on one of those particular ships. This is the same thing. People are adding names to it. You can look it up on a computer. You can also have your ancestor's name inscribed on the wall, so I commend them. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ted, I just have a quick question regarding flooding. Has there been any issue with Solomon's Creek and flooding?
I'm actually glad you asked, because about 5 to 6, I got a call from Chief Clapett who said to let council know that Solomon's Creek is actually at 1 foot.
Okay.
So although it doesn't sound like a lot, I think they worry about when it gets over 4 feet, but it's been low all day, and we're watching it. Fire department's got their eyes on it, DPW is watching it, and we're optimistic. And actually, I received as I think you guys get those alerts, they called out the flood watch, so I think we're hoping that that's behind us now.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving into public discussion. John Sahoski.
John Snosky, Almond Lake. Since we got everybody here who does take the medical buyout, with the bleak, outlook that we got at the meeting last week, could you guys just explain how we could still afford to pay for the $2,200 to $2,400 for everybody's medical buyout? No.
Anyone care to address?
Nobody wants to address how you guys can afford that? Could somebody just answer how you guys, how, somebody give me a financial answer on how the city can still afford that?
I mean, honestly, if one of our, our accountant was here or someone from the finance office, maybe they would better be able to answer your question regarding where that money comes from and how it's appropriated.
But is it responsible to take it when the city's in this financial state? Is it responsible as, as leaders in the community?
I mean, like I said, that would be a question for the financial office.
I'll just ask for your opinions in it. Do you feel it's responsible to take those kind of buyouts when the city's in the financial state that we're in, where we're going to have to, we're going to have to take this bond out because, we might end up losing, city jobs, and you guys can't even give up a little bit? It's selfish. You don't have to answer, it's selfish.
Well, you asked me a question, so obviously I'm going to answer you. I mean, it's like I've stated time and time again to you, I use the buyout money so I can afford. Moving on. Angel Giraffe?
James Terrell, founding president of South National Concern Law. First, I want to thank everyone for the prayers and kind thoughts. People back here, when I was going through a hard time, people back here too. I also want to thank Mr. Jim's office. These two ladies helped the new firefighter commissioners. If it wasn't for your help filling out the applications and the tests, we'd still be there today. I don't know that difficult that when they volunteered. Thank you. But I'm speaking today on behalf of Ms. Patterson's back there. I'm sure her son, Ayer, Wes, has been missing since last year, December 9th. I'm sure you've been following that on the TV. It first came to the attention last year, then it was addressed February. The family approached me because everything went quiet. I reached out to him, Mahachik, he did a story, I was at the newspaper, did. I'm reaching out to the city council members. You have ways when we ran the elections to reach out people, we cannot. So I'm asking your support in this. I want you to hear this mother's story. I think anytime any parent loses any child that doesn't know the whereabouts, it should be the problem concerns of all the community. I cannot imagine a mother whose son's birthday just passed and she cannot tell her son happy birthday. But I also have a concern that once again, it came to my attention 3 months after. Again, when are we going to start working together with the community? If we would have reached out, we would have helped this mother go to areas that the police cannot, the city council cannot. So on behalf of this mother, I hope that we take today, listen to her words, and know in the future we have to come together when one of our own are missing, when one of our kids are missing. It is a community problem, not a one family problem, it's all our problems. So I'm looking for city council, I'm looking for the mayor's office, do everything that you can. I'm asking the people behind me to do everything I can. Imagine your son or daughter goes to a store one day, just walks out, mom, I'm going out to get smokes or something, doesn't come back. I can't fathom that. I cannot fathom that. So please, hear this mother's story, give her all the support. I'm asking the newspapers, do a little bit more than you usually do. Tonight I'm sure you're going to have a little story on some budget. Please listen to this mother's story. You covered it. I don't care how many times you cover it until your paper runs dry. There's someone missing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Lisa Patterson?
Hello, my name is Lisa Patterson. I'm the mother of a young man named Yair West. Went to work that day on December 9th, 2016. Did his shift at 4:30, left his job. He does not have a vehicle. He decided to walk home. His job that day was at Outback. He left Outback. He proceeded to walk to Wegmans. When in Wegmans, do not know what did he buy because we do not have a badge to track his purchase. He left Wegman and he ended up at the Corner News store on Cole Street 2 hours later. His job was ended at 4:30. He was showed up at the Corner News at 6:40. There's a 2-hour window. It takes about 40 minutes to half an hour to walk from Outback and down the hill. That was the last time I physically seen my son, and how I physically seen my son was we begged his children's mother, the guy that owns the store, can he go through his video cameras? He pulled up the 3 pictures of my son entering the store, in the store, did an access at an ATM, took $200 out. My son left out of that store. That's the last time anybody has seen or knowledge of him. I did do a police report. He left. I seen him Friday. I filed a police report Tuesday, because normally he works 2 jobs. He works Outback and Smoky Bones. So weekends come, I do not see my son until Monday night around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. There was no concern for me to worry about him. When his one child's mother said, have you spoken to him? I said, no, give him to 10:30 Monday. That will be December 12th. I did not hear nothing. I told her Tuesday at 4:30 when I get out of work, if he's not showed up, we'll file a police report. We filed a police report on December 13th. A detective came to my house that Saturday, gave him the information. That was the only communication I had with the detective face on face. All my other communication was only on telephone. I have to initiate the calls. I have to find out what's your lead. As of today's date, there's no sign of my son. I don't know how to go about to locate my son. I have flooded Facebook and all social media to get the word out that my son is disappearing, to the point where the Channel News on February 13th said we need to bring her in, find out what's going on. That is 2 months since the day my son left that a newscaster wanted to publish my son. That's all I have to say.
I mean, first of all, I'm really sorry that you're going through this as a mother. I can imagine the pain that you're feeling. I hope for the best for you, and I hope that you find your son. Now, with that being said, as council, we're limited obviously in what we can do. But I've been sharing it on Facebook. I've seen it multiple times. Every time I see it, I share it on my political page and on my personal page. And I know a couple of other council members are active on Facebook as well, so I'm sure they'll all continue to do that. Ted, I'm not sure if you can comment at all on anything. If number of police was there.
I'm not, yeah, I have nothing, I have no information, obviously, that would come from the police department. It is, it's an ongoing investigation. I know Angel Giroux has actually been in contact with Chief Lindaki and has been following up on it, so that would be something the police would.
Okay, maybe Chief Lindaki can contact her to just kind of.
I had a meeting with her this Monday.
Okay.
That was the first.
We did, and she put a different set of eyes, so she has been working with us, she met with the family, so they put a new set of eyes, they don't look at the new information. But again, it's a family too, we want a better work relationship with the police, so again, we need to get this going. It should not have taken this long to get members of the community. We work differently. Already, she has reached out to the people and she's got information that we normally wouldn't have gotten. So that's important too, that's when this mother's here too. Not only for the child, but down the road, because we have a child missing every few seconds. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Forte?
Carter. Yes, my name is Anthony Carter. First of all, how y'all doing today? something about the lines in the road. We have lines in the road for St. Patty's Day, where they painted green, but the regular roads, that where we get pulled over for crossing the line, is not painted. And like y'all can afford the painting for St. Patty's Day, but y'all can't afford to paint it for a regular day. Right now, for instance, a friend of mine got pulled over for swerving bumps. Like, come on, yo. What y'all gonna do about that? Oh, it's $300 to paint a yard. Paint it so people can know they can't cross it. Because if they cross it, then they in the wrong. But y'all just keep pulling people over for swerving from a bump. You know, this is Luzerne County. You know when you hit Luzerne County, because all the bumps get bumpier, put it that way. But y'all, soon as we swerving, y'all pulling people over. Oh, he drunk or whatever the situation may be. You know, officer. Whatever the situation he may be, but y'all don't do nothing about the bumps. Even though this is what is it called, a gold miner's town or whatever it is. But coal mine, thank you.
Yeah.
But you have to do something about it. And being as though y'all not doing nothing about it, now y'all getting DUIs and driving recklessly, whatever the situation may be. But y'all gotta think about the other person. He's driving, coming home from work, tired, and swerving from a bump. Now he went over the road that don't have lines in it. Okay, but y'all pull him over, give him a ticket. Oh, what's the ticket? He swerved over the road. But y'all ain't thinking about that. Y'all gotta try to address that too. You know what I mean? But the thing is, every goddamn, excuse my French, every St. Patrick's Day is green as hell down there. Excuse my French again. Green as it can be. But y'all can afford to do that. But y'all can't afford to put the regular legal lines the right way. I'm done. I want to hear the rebuttal about that.
Okay, sir. Ted, do you care to address any of the issues regarding the lines?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into that season now where they'll start looking at some of the roads and decide which ones can be lined. Some of it's a paving situation where the roads basically aren't ready to be lined, and if they're gonna pave them, they'll worry about lining them up.
Excuse me, can I ask you, can I have a rebuttal? I still got nothing, some time.
I can't allow that.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm waiting for you.
So they, so we'll be getting into that real soon. I mean, it's obviously the weather's starting to break. The St. Patrick's Day, that's temporary line painting, that fades, and that's usually supplemented by the money that we raise to offset the cost of the whole St. Patrick's Day parade, so it's not something that we get excited. But we are, I don't disagree with you, sir. I mean, it is something that we need to get to, but because it's a permanent, and you address part of it, it is a cost situation, and we are looking at that now, but we're just getting into that part of the season where we can do that. We just finished off the blizzard, so we're trying to recover from that.
Okay, thanks for
Wait,
that.
hold on, I've got a question for you. You mentioned a friend swerved to miss a pothole, went over the line, and got a ticket for doing that. Where was that at?
Over Road.
Old River Road?
Yes.
Could you put that on?
Yep.
On the top of the list?
We're at it over the
We'll
road.
look at that first.
Okay.
We're at it over the road.
All right. I'm not listening with you. You voted against my man. I'm out of here. Bye.
Mr. Troy? Mr. Troy?
Mr. Troy?
That's you.
fatal proposition when you start. First of all, regarding the absence of city, this is getting to look more and more like a farce. All we have is empty chairs back here. Mr. George's suggestion or directive to discourage department heads from attending meetings. I know you spoke out, and you're to be commended for that. You spoke out against that. People have questions for department heads. I had one for Butch Friday tonight. He's not in it. Nobody's here. Darren Snyder, nobody. I'm wondering if council, you three people in attendance, and I know we people have excuses, but I think it's terrible that these other two people are not present. Perhaps they should be docked. Maybe that would make them attend a little more regularly. The absence of city officials and the mayor. Ted, convey my request to the mayor if you don't mind, or I can call him directly. It'd be nice for him to attend once in a while. Even his predecessor, Mr. Layton, whom I disagree with wholeheartedly on almost every issue every project that he created and initiated. I still think that it was good of him that he attended at least some of the meetings. Mayor George has not chosen to do so, and I think he should be taken to task for that, as well as all these city officials. Now, my question to council is, if you three people are in agreement with me, perhaps you can put together some formal request to the mayor or to the department heads or to whomever, and have and perhaps override the mayor's request to get some of these people to at least come once a month, once every other meeting. I would like to see some reaction on that. The main problem I have, the main question I have, since my time is limited, there's an old expression, very disturbing to me, and I have to bring it up. I mentioned this to Mr. Lanat, the Nero fiddle while Rome burned. This is regarding the desperation, as I mentioned in the other part of the session, the looming fiscal catastrophe, not crisis, but I think catastrophe. You three people in attendance, you three council people, if I could have your comments on whether or not you think your suggestions on the way that this perhaps can be prevented, this crisis. And are you three in favor of another property tax increase? I just had to absorb, as well as anybody else in the audience, own property here, 19 mil tax increase. That wasn't fun to pay. I paid an extra $60. You, Mr. Mayor, voted for that budget, and you thought it was a compromise instead of the 30 mil. I didn't like it. I didn't like the 19 mil. I didn't like the 30 mil. I don't think any tax increase was necessary. So my time remaining, I would like to propose formally, again, my suggestions, and I know this probably will fly over everybody's head. I'd like to see some reaction on somebody's part. For new sources of new revenue stream, I know you commented on this one before, Ted. The mercantile tax, business privilege tax, have not been increased since their inception. Why should the property owners, maybe somebody here in the audience can answer that, why should we have to bear the burden for this city's fiscal crisis all the time? This should go around, this should be shared by some other people in this city, some other entities, such as businesses. They're paying, what, 0.5%? I don't know what the exact percent is, very minute. Cannot that be increased a 1/2 or 3/4 percentage point? Can't we get after these tardy landlords, landlords who owe the city a substantial amount of money for not paying the business privilege tax? How about the $600,000 that the city's going to be on the hook for, more for the snow removal? Where's that going to come from, Ted? Thin air? Is God going to bring that down if we have another prayer before the meeting? I don't think so. God's not in the business of answering those kind of things. Anyway, Nero fiddle while Rome burned. I'd like to see, and I think to some extent you've been doing a pretty good job, Mr. Gilbert. I don't know about you other two, but I'd like to know, I meant Mr. Embarrassing. That's what happens when you get over 65. Some suggestions, to perhaps look at the commuter tax again. To take a hard look at cutting expenses where they can be cut. Maybe Mr. Ansted's salary could be cut. He hasn't revealed. I talked to him. He wouldn't tell me what he's making. I could find out anyway because of the Sunshine Law, I guess. Not the Sunshine Law, but the Freedom of Information Act. These things have to be reassessed, and I think that you people ought to try to look hard at these sort of things to prevent, not only prevent another tax increase, but prevent a financial catastrophe, which is looming over the city. Thank you. I'd like to know your reactions, if any.
Personally,
Mr. Gilbert, Mr.
personally, I would not be in favor of another property tax increase. I've said this before, but I think after a certain point, you kind of reach a saturation point, and you can only tax people so much before you reach that point, and I believe that we've reached that. You also brought up about a resolution or an ordinance mandating department heads to attend meetings. I've inquired about that, and council cannot do that.
Can't do it.
No, we cannot.
Maybe you could formally request.
Yeah, we can certainly formally request.
Ask and you shall receive.
And I have, so. And also, I know that you asked if we had any ideas to help with, increasing revenue or cutting expenses, and I've released numerous different ideas, and we're going to sit down with Ted sometime next week or the week after to discuss some of those together.
I know you're like back and forth, but one brief thing, and I won't talk anymore, but the hole in the budget that I talked about, the store removal, and the other, the looming fiscal crisis, assuming that if we don't refinance, the city doesn't refinance, where the hell else is the money going to come from besides another sizable property? I know you won't vote for it, but it's still going to pass.
Let me finish. One of my ideas is...
Where's the money going to come from to plug up these...
Mr. Troy, I'm trying to answer you here. Now, one of the ideas that I presented was a fair share pilot program that some cities such as Boston have implemented. They go based on the size of taxable property that universities and other nonprofits have acquired over the years. And I think that's one way. It certainly wouldn't fix all of our fiscal issues, but it's something that can contribute to helping those. So that's one idea that I would be in favor of. And that's not to say we certainly recognize the importance that, and the impact our universities have on the city. But, at the same time, we need something else to help levy the costs of operating the city. So that's my response for you. Anyone else from council have anything to add?
Sure, Sam, I totally agree with you. You seem to have been consistent against any tax increase for the city. I'd love to see a proposal for, and I've been public about, like you said, we're tinkering with the mercantile tax. I'd like to see a proposal from finance on how much that could bring in. I completely agree with Chairwoman Gilbert about a fair share pilot program. There are some nonprofits in the city who pay nothing, and I think if we aggressively ask them, I'd take $50 from every church is even just something as well. So, and for administration department's been here on, I've been on record from the very beginning when the mayor George said he wasn't attending last year. There was articles in the newspaper, that I've been in the paper consistently, and we privately ask all the time, please come, please come.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Oh, hold on, I have some. Tony Mathis?
Good evening, Tony Mathis, 9 Harkins Lane, Wilkes-Barre. I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the city council that on Tuesday, April 4th, there were 2 females on the top level of the parking lot, on the Market Street side, smoking cigarettes and tossing items down on the sidewalk. This was between 3 and well after 4 p.m. that they were there. This is a huge liability to the city if someone's injured or someone's car is damaged. This is not the first time that I brought it to the attention of city council that there are young people hanging out at that parking lot, and they still continue to hang out there. The other issue I have is the blue ribbons on the police cars are a great community relations incentive. Officer Murchill is doing a great job interacting with the downtown community. And the last thing is, I don't know if you can do it or not, can you create an ordinance that requires young men to pull up their pants?
Is that at the intermodal center? Is that-
No, that's the parking lot right across the
The
street.
parking lot, okay, I wasn't sure what you meant. Okay,
The one that's on the corner of Market and Washington.
okay. Ted, could you just notify the
Yeah.
police department about that?
Yeah,
See if we can-
and, you know, that's an ongoing concern,
Mhm.
but so we'll keep an eye on it.
Ted, did you want to?
Yeah, it's just one thing, and I would be remiss, and I apologize because I've been trying to find their names. I thought about it tonight with the two interns from Wilkes over here. I would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the two Wilkes students yesterday that stopped that accident by the Market Street Bridge. And it just went blank on me. Peter Sideri, I believe, was one, and Amber Ankado, which may have been the other, they're nursing students. They stopped to render aid, you know, to the person that was hit by the car. Obviously, it was an fatality, but it was, you know, we got to give them credit. You know, they stopped and they rendered aid. You know, they did basically, you know, what I think a lot of us would like to think that we would do. We will be acknowledging them at an upcoming time, but it was just some reason I did want to acknowledge the fact that we really appreciate that, and I'm sure the community does too. And you know, their efforts were unfortunately not successful, but the fact that they did stop it and offer assistance, I think, is something that should be commendable. That is what this town is all about,
Yeah.
right? And the Wilkes students can take it back.
And also I watched part of the accident from my office building, and just how quickly our first responders responded to it, and how aggressively they worked to help that man. It shows how great, you know, our city is, and the great workers that we have working with us as well, so. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
It's two walkouts. Tomorrow, boys, you made yourselves tonight. Yeah. And I was telling my son, smart decisions. Good. Good.
He can't.